Whoa, echo, echo. There we go. Hey guys. I was like, wait, where did that noise come from?
Hey, that's me.
That's me. What's happening? Hey everyone. Happy Saturday. Hope you all enjoying a Saturday. Some people are having a heat wave, some aren't. We may be joined later by Brandon. He's busy unpacking. The theme for today is large TVs, 75, 85 inch. He's got an 83 inch and he's struggling with the 83 inch. I'll let him explain. I don't want to pop the bubble what he's been dealing with, but he's been texting me all weekend, Friday. Oh my God, this, and oh my gosh, that. And it's kind of fun.
Is he hinting to what it is, or is he just kind of leaving you out
there? Let's just say that there is a reason to pay a premium when you do QC with Value Electronics. And I'll leave it at that. And I too am affected because we both ordered through the same
that was Joe down the
channel.
Joe around the corner.
They will make it right is all I'm gonna say. But I think it's something that, oh, there you go. Hey, are you ready to go there, Brandon? Hey, Brandon, you ready to go? Hey, I was just telling everyone that today's theme is buying large TVs and what you have to deal with. And I didn't want to throw out a spoiler because I want you to tell the story, because I know that you're going to do some videos about this.
And he's sweating.
And I was telling Brian, like, there may be a reason why you do QC. Now, of course, it costs. And when you save money, there are some risks. But I think I'd love to intro what you want to do. And if you're doing a video on this, Brandon, you don't have to give away the farm, but
I'm happy to share the pictures, man. I'm happy to share the pictures, dude. I think we should.
Oh, hey, dude, you're kind of staticky.
Sound like Soundwave.
Yeah, totally static.
Maybe it's not using the right mic. Let me check it out.
Yeah. Go ahead. So, yeah, it's it's fun, and you've talked about this, Brian, right? When you order large TVs, it doesn't have to be an 83 inch. You've had issues with a 75 inch and a 77 inch. So, why don't you a quick refresher? What you had to deal with, why you even started your channel, was because of that large TV, right?
Yeah, it's just all the problems with displays are so evident, and I think they're between manufacturing, shipping, all those logistics are part of it. But also, I remember looking at that grid pattern that we saw in the CXs last year. That was present on the A9S Master Series as well, but it's 48 inches, so it's not as evident. And then I'm like, oh my God, it's there too. So it takes everything and magnifies it. And then,
right.
Once you catch that disease of looking, but I'm not sure what was going on with Brandon's. We'll find out in a second, but I'm telling you, returning those things is an absolute nightmare. Or having the logistic, or having them pick them up. It's just a bunch of scheduling. And trust me, when they start I don't know if Brandon has a relationship with them. They get real tired of you real fast.
Yeah.
If you're returning something that big, because now each shipping is $400 or $500.
Yep.
And even Amazon instated saying, look, I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. So where I got to a point where I was totally defeated and I just wanted nothing to do with it. And I had gone through 10 displays, 75 inches. They were all defective. None of them were of that matter of I don't like it, but it can make you crazy, For us, it's content. So if it's bad, it's good for us to show you guys. But on a personal level, for any of you guys in the comments, it's real life problem, real world problems, but it's awful. I mean, it's a terrible feeling because
how's
nobody
your audio,
cares.
Brandon?
I don't know. Is it still bad or not?
Yeah. Still something's going wrong. Okay. Just wave when you're ready, buddy. I'm sorry to disrupt you, Brian.
No,
go ahead.
But it gets to the point to where you're sitting downstairs and you power it on and it just yanks you out of the moment. It's that, and then the buyer's remorse comes in. And we talked about that FOMO and that excitement. But then when you purchase, buyer's remorse and sticker shock, and chances are you've told your wife or your husband, hey, you've brought up why you need this. Now you've got it. They want you to just shut up. And then you're up there saying, I can't believe it doesn't work. And
oh, no.
And I've had where my friends, a buddy of mine is in the chat, Paul, who helped me through a lot of that. He's like, no one's going to feel bad for you You know, you're spending $7,000 on a TV, and you know, even the people that deliver them don't give a crap. The people Best Buy was like laughing at me as I was bringing those TVs in.
Yeah.
You know, they're just like, "Oh, what's up, big guy?" You know, it's so you guys have an 83-inch TVs delivered. I'm sure the guy delivering them's like, "Oh, I'm coming back and robbing this place."
And well, so you bring up 2 points, right? One is, well, risk, but I don't think even 2 people, I would feel more comfortable with 3 people hanging up on a wall or installing it, because it's so wide and big. And one thing that not many people realize, so let's just take aside DSC uniformity. All large TVs will have more evident motion issues. A lot of people don't realize that. The larger the TV, the brighter it appears for so many reasons. But just say it's a large TV, same luminance. Let's say the X900H. Normally people complain it's a little dim. You take it to 85 inches and suddenly, wow, it's not so dim. But that also exacerbates any motion issues. So Sony's at that large size, thank heavens they have great motion. But if you take a TV with maybe rough motion at 55 inches, at 85 inches, it's going to be unbearable. The artifacts are just blown up so much worse.
You'll see that blur as you pan. But DSC is, for me, the main culprit at that size, because you're literally, even if you like fighting games, the characters in, say, a Guilty Gear are 2 feet tall. You can see the banding behind them. Or if you're panning in an Uncharted or a Call of Duty, you just see a bar in the middle of the screen. The problem is you're trying to tell a company, you're using verbiage that they are familiar with, but they don't want to hear it from you. They don't want to hear a dirty screen effect. They're like, is there a dead pixel or not? Where is it on the screen?
What is this dirty screen?
So,
just wipe it with a towel.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, all right. So, and most people would turn them on and be absolutely fine with it. They would just say, okay, I'll keep that. And I challenge anybody in the comments too. I know when you hear us go through these TVs, you'd say, I'd love to have that TV for free. I agree until you sit with it and you're like, wow, that really is bothering me. Or, you know, I really can kind of see that. And everything pulls you out of the immersion. And that, for me, which is most important with home theater.
Agreed. And how's your audio, Brandon? Let's hear it.
I don't know. Is it better?
Oh, mic check.
It must have just been, I unplugged the mic. I mean, it was the same setup I had on whatever day we did the last one, but you know how that works. Sometimes it just gets, but it's a USB mic, so it gets a little buggy.
All right.
Cool. So I was listening to what you were saying. Right. Yeah, no, it's okay. I was listening to what you guys were saying. Yeah.
Tell us, what have you endured since receiving the 83-inch TV from your local distributor?
Well, I mean, it's a good company and they're trying, but I think what I'm learning is it's not always easy. Like Brian was saying, you run into a lot of problems, and that the freight company did not handle these TVs well. So,
and if you have any photos, go ahead and share it with me. And I'll
I'm trying this. My mouse is going bonkers now too. Jeez, man.
Yeah, while you're doing that, let me take care of a couple of super chats real quick.
Yeah, go ahead, do that, and I'll load up some of the pictures so I can then share them with you.
Hey, TechMed, you're always welcome. Good vibes back to you out there in Germany. And we have another one here. Hey, Andy, any update on the A90J DTS X eARC pass-through test? I've tried a bunch of different settings and cables with my X800M2 and Q950A soundbar. I can't get DTS-X, but Atmos via True HD will pass. That I need to. Are you running? So you're running it through the Sony. I'm gonna have
the soundbar behind me. He's talking about. I haven't tried it yet.
Yeah, try it. See if it works with the A80J, and then share with Andy, because I haven't run the test yet, because I need to run a True DTS-X source. And then an eARC soundbar to make sure it works. So Andy, we will get back to you. I promise. I know
Andy is getting Atmos though.
FOMO? He's getting Atmos. He's not getting DTS-X through the Sony via eARC. So he's playing it through his Blu-ray player, and the source has DTS-X. But when it gets to the Sony, coming out of the Sony, DTS-X is not passing to his audio system, soundbar in this case. And we assume that his Q950A soundbar, which is what you have, right?
It's in the box though.
It's perfect, Andy. So here we go. Brian has that soundbar, so he will confirm, because it could also be soundbar specific. If I test it on my soundbar, it may work. Doesn't mean that it isn't working with yours because it could be a Q950A thing. So yeah, thanks for that. All right, Brandon. Uh-oh.
I'm still looking.
Okay.
Loading them up. So it'll take me a minute. Go ahead, man. Take your time.
All good. So in the meantime, I was going to show you guys something. This is what I always use. So you all ask me all the time, right? Hey, what size TV? Is it big enough? Is it small enough? And this is exactly what the calculator I use. I've linked it below, but I'll give you guys the link one more time so you guys can have it and follow along at home if you don't know what I'm talking about. So this is a viewing distance calculator. It's quite simple. You enter your distance in meters or feet or whatever, right? And then you choose 16:9. That's the typical widescreen, and the diagonal size. And the result is the degree of the viewing angle. I like to keep my viewing angle at around 43 degrees. So let's say typically you are, I don't know, 2 meters away, 16:9, diagonals. What? This is metric. What happened? Okay. I'm gonna have to make this inches.
Royale with cheese.
I'm like, what the heck happened here, man? It's like, this is wrong. I'm thrown off my game.
So Royale with cheese.
We'll take Andy's question here. Thanks for the super chat. QNED soundbar will accept DTS:X if I plug, the X800M .M2, the second generation 800. Yes. So that means that at least directly it will go through it. The question is this, Andy. When it's eARC talking, it could still be the soundbar. It's the eARC that's the issue from the TV. So sometimes there's a handshake issue between TV. Not saying it is, but sometimes it is. And more often than not, that's where we have to troubleshoot. A firmware update on the soundbar side or the TV side, or both may be required. So in the meantime, let me get the inches. This is terrible.
It's a lot of firmware updates.
Yeah. Well, you guys saw how Sony took quite a while to get their eARC, or LG actually took a while to get their eARC going with the C9 even, right? So it's not always easy for these guys. Seriously.
Well, hey, I have my HDMI Denon workaround.
Oh, how's it?
I haven't tried it, but it's like all it is. I should go get it and show you guys. All it is, it looks like a splitter. Have you seen it yet?
Yes, I've seen the pictures. I don't have it myself.
Yeah, it looks like a splitter. I mean, that's their workaround. They're like, here you go. Was it $4,000? Here's your workaround. I'm like, this is a splitter.
Here's your workaround. I know, right?
It's a splitter.
It's crazy.
Oh, man.
Gotta love it. All right. And let's check here real quick. What? Oh, here we go. Okay, here we go. I got your thing right there. All right, my friend, go ahead. Walk us through your experience.
Oh, it's
okay, no rush. I mean, this is I got onto the truck with the guy, and he had no idea what it was, and so this freight company, the guy was very nice, and he said this is how it was loaded on his truck. So you can see on the left side there's a gash underneath the white label. I'll show you that in a second. On the right in the middle, there's a big dent. I don't even know what these people are thinking. I mean, it says fragile everywhere, right? On all four sides, it says fragile. And this is ABF Freight. So this is a company nationwide. And so that hole, so let me show you these holes a little close up. So first of all, let's go back to this. So this is the back hole. Whatever it was, got all the way through the box into the back of the TV and scratched the TV. So you can see, it's just so careless. That's like 6 inches into the box, So that is annoying, and that's a wider shot of that
right there.
Of that same one. Yeah, so that's not good. And then, that's the first spot. Then I opened it up a little, and then that's what you got, So it's pretty crazy. And then this is the end here, where you can see that's a fork that went into that. So what they probably did is they forklift, on the end there on the bottom. And then when they set it down, they were trying to just move it,
sometimes they were hitting it to slide it over.
They use it and they dig into it to slide it a little, or they just carelessly dug. But I mean, he hit that so hard. I tried punching the end of the TV, and I'm telling you, you can't make this dent if you tried. There's no way you can make that dent.
And that's 2 TVs, right? 2 83-inch.
Yeah, those are 2 83-inch.
Oh my God, they're back to back?
Yeah, they're facing each other, so the inside was protected better. But then, yeah, they're side to side. So then let's go and show you. So I'll show you that in a second. This is the
it
problem
hurts,
right?
Doesn't it hurt?
So that's where they hit it with the That's where they hit it with the forklift when I took the box, and that's what happened right there. You can see the metal, which they have on the 83 inch. It's got a metal edge around this, where the glass is on the 65 and the 55 is just glass. So they have a metal edge, but it dented the metal edge. So between that and the scratch on the back, I contacted the company, and they're really mad that these guys messed around with it. Man. And then this is the second TV. So this is the one that was supposed to go to FOMO, and that's what it looked like on top. So if you see a TV and look at that, I mean, you can see it looks almost like there was forklifts on top of that right there. I mean, look,
what the heck, right?
You know, at the top and the bottom, there's like a fork on each one. And then you go back to this. This is what it looked like from the side. It crushed this side of the box.
Jesus.
So that's the better of the two.
Well, and these boxes are thinner than ever. I mean,
yeah. So so in the end, I mean, I don't know. I don't have a picture of the result, but this one I unboxed. And luckily, that right where this is, the styrofoam broke. It crushed the styrofoam completely down, but it wasn't above the TV. The piece that was still above the TV was there. And so it was like kind of just dead weight of styrofoam that pushed down and broke. And so this TV survived, but not a very, pleasant shipping experience from this ABF freight company. And now one of these $8,000 TVs is going back, and it's done. Absolutely. It's gone, and so the company that we bought them from is not happy with the freight company and told me to send it, or they're going to set up shipping. Like they're going to, do everything, luckily FOMO, you said you didn't need yours so quickly. So we're going to be okay on this, but not a great start. Maybe now we're going to get them just to ship it straight to you. Not that I won't come up and help you, but we'll figure it out. I mean, I'm still happy.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, but it's just like very frustrating. I mean, I have to handle these TVs with TLC because I can't afford to have an insurance claim for an $8,000 TV because I'm going to pay the first 1,000 of it myself, so I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Well, that's crazy. But the challenge is even for the one that survived. I mean, we'll see how it runs. We're talking about screen uniformity issues. That's not just a manufacturing thing. That could also be the way it's shipped. We talk about that. So we'll see as you're testing it, even psychologically, you're going to be looking at that TV differently. And you should. Wondering.
So
I'd be already putting in.
Yeah. And that's the guy that sold it to me said, I got him on the phone. He called me actually, and I was debating whether to accept the shipment or not. And I wrote on the invoice that I'm accepting it, but there, we took pictures and all that, and the guy was real cool. And so, and so I took pictures. I called him. He said he's really mad. And I said, it says fragile on it on every side. And he goes, yeah, but those forklift drivers, when they see this fragile sign, they actually treat it worse.
They try to hit it.
They try to hit it harder. They try to hit the word fragile. Right.
Fragile. I mean, it must be Italian.
And these guys, like I was telling the guy that drove the truck, even like I've dealt with a lot of drivers and freight guys and all this stuff. These guys are all just working. They got things on their mind. They're working. They're listening to music. They're in a warehouse. They don't know what they're, but they got to have a little more care for things. I guarantee you they had no idea this is $16,000 worth of TVs, both fragile and expensive.
Right.
So,
you think it's a hammock or something, right? Oh, look, it's a giant hammock.
I mean, I'm sure they can't really tell the weight on those forklifts. They don't know how heavy those things are. And like you said, it could be like a trampoline. Unfortunately, it was two, $8,000 Sony TVs.
And this goes to everyone else ordering from Amazon or anywhere, right? They're using shippers that may not necessarily be FedEx or UPS. They could be outsourcing. So when you're ordering 75, 77, 85 inch, 100 inch TV from anyone, right? Whether it's Value Electronics or Amazon, you're going to have a risk that the actual carrier, they had a bad day, they're kicking everything, and yours happen to be the next one it kicks. And so what I've learned is videotape the entire delivery process from them getting it out of the truck, because they don't care, right? You have your phone out, you're videotaping the entire thing, or you're recording, it's like VHS, you're recording the entire process so that if they abuse it, it's caught, and then you get to see the box. So they don't say, oh, well, it was perfect when it got out, but then you put holes in it or whatever. And so you record the entire delivery, unboxing, and then when they say, here, sign here, If there is even one hole on that box that you don't feel comfortable, it's okay. Just say, you know what, I'm not going to accept this. There's a hole in the box, like what you saw, right, Brandon? Because if you don't, the seller's going to say to you, well, why didn't you reject it? They're going to put it on you every single time, especially if it's Amazon. I guarantee you, if it's Amazon, they're going to say, you should have rejected it. Why did you sign off on that? We can't assume that the hole was because of the carrier, you know, and that's something, and this is why I wanted to do this video, is this is unique to, well, not just large TVs, actually a 55-inch TV, this could happen as well. It's one thing when you receive a toaster, that might be a dent. You know what? You just go back to Kohl's, right? Just drop it off at Kohl's or wherever the Amazon pickup is. But a TV, man, I hate carrying that stuff.
And I'll tell you, I wouldn't have accepted. People are talking like I would have refused. Of course, I would have refused the TVs.
Of course.
The reasons why that I did not refuse it, one is I do like the company that we bought them from, Waltz TV, and they have been good to me in the past. And two, you know, I already had communicated with the company that sold them to me. It's a business to business relationship. And I had already gotten confirmation via email that they were going to take care of us if there was damage.
Sure.
So, and also I want to do an unboxing and get this TV up. So the second one is going to be okay. Brian, you had asked, we did get it up. It is fairly uniform. It looks good. I got it unboxed. Unfortunately, instead of at like 2 p.m. when I tried to unbox it, it was like 11 o'clock at night when I unboxed the second one. So I had to go get the kids. You know, we had to get the kids and put them to bed and do all that. So there was no chance I was getting that video edited and up this morning. So unfortunately, it set me back a day. And yes, some headaches. And yes, it was not great, but you know, it was a, you know, I'm always like a half glass full person, you know, so I'm going to keep the relationship and talk to them. And like, actually, I know for the end consumer, they don't want to deal with this stuff, but as a business guy at B2B, I'm interested, like we would be with Value Electronics, to like see how they handle things and figure things out. And since it's not a big rush for you, we're okay with it.
Yeah. Well, and for your audience, honestly, this is, because we go back to you being by yourself as a regular person as we are. You who deal with these every single day, you actually do it as a business. It happened to you. And I think when they see us, they don't think that happens to us.
It's not the first time.
But it's good to see. I mean, to me, that's where the information is very valuable. A lot of times they look at our videos. Oh, that's perfect. It's perfect. To see you go through that right here, right now, that's a lot of money. Your time is valuable. And to have that taken from you, regardless of why, it's just good to let them know that it happens to somebody who deals with it every single day.
Now, I would like to address Value Electronics because it happened to me on my 55-inch X900H. And this is why I work closely with Robert. So last year when I got the X900H, that was my second 55-inch actually. The first one, just like yours, Brandon, but it was only 55-inch. What happened was when it came off, I go, wait, is that a hole on top where the straps were? Because it was on a pallet and there's a strap on top, but the strap broke through the box. And I'm like, oh, wow, they strapped it way too tight. And I'm looking inside, I'm like, this doesn't look good. So, you know, I took pictures and stuff. And I said, okay, you know what? I might get lucky. Maybe it'll work, right? And so I accepted it. But then when I opened it, the entire TV was warped. I mean, that strap pulled through and it broke through. It warped the TV. So I immediately called Robert. He's like, don't worry about it. Give me the pictures. And he said, you know, for my information as well as this, remember, if you suspect anything, it makes it easier for him to also go back to the carrier. And this was through FedEx. So he immediately got coverage and, you know, we got a replacement. But it did take about almost a month or 2 months. Now, Robert took care of everything. But at the end of the day, it took about 2 months for me to get another panel because at the time, you know, there were inventory issues as well or whatnot. But it's easier because I knew that. I just picked up the phone. I emailed Robert and he took care of it. It would probably not have been the same with Amazon. Now, Best Buy, someone asked this question that I think is pretty important, is they asked, well, what do you do with Best Buy? Dude, how was my experience with Best Buy? Because I did buy a lot from Best Buy before I bought from Robert. And the reason I buy from Best Buy is I normally pick it up personally. I don't, because it's down the street. I have a minivan. I go there. They bring it out to my minivan and I bring it home. So that's fine. That's why I buy from Best Buy. Delivery, I've never had to deal with Best Buy delivery. So can't say right? You've dealt with it.
Yeah, 5 or 6 times.
I was thinking about making a video on all these because I've gotten deliveries from all these companies, and yes, I can attest to like there's pluses and minuses. But you're right. One of the best ways to get it is just to go get it yourself.
Yeah.
So, but you have these different carriers. I've yet to see any white gloves. I don't know. I've paid for white gloves. I've seen two dudes go. Yeah, white gloves.
Took me a minute for that. I was
white
like,
glove. I did the white glove Costco.
White glove. I'm like, no,
Costco white glove. I did the. Have you guys done the Costco white glove for a TV?
I haven't done.
I have a truck, so I just get everything.
I did the P Quantum X white glove, the 2019 P Quantum X. I don't know if it was the white glove that didn't work out, but the TV kept on shutting off. So
maybe it's just the TV.
Maybe it was just the TV. So that one went right back to Costco, and they came by and picked it up.
If you want to share that screen, I have another thing too.
Let's do it.
This was actually also another thing that you should look out for, and I think we probably talked about it a bunch. You guys have this happened. Rainer Richter had mentioned on Prime Day on Monday that the Samsung frame was discounted, right? And that was in Germany. And then we looked up the prices on our like a long, epic all day stream on the Samsung frame in the US. And it went from $12.99 down to $10.30. And that was for a 50-inch. And so I communicated with them and I got this refund of, it's like $269. So, plus tax, I ended up saving $290. So that's a significant savings. I mean, that's like 25% of the TV, 20%. Yeah. So, I got that. I actually forgot to call on Amazon Prime Day. So it took me a little bit of fighting to get this price because it's only $100 off. But, if you stick with it and really stick to your guns, I got the $300 back. So that's a big deal for me because we buy a lot of TVs and they're expensive. So that different, every penny helps.
And to Jack's question, is it better to avoid big box and use someone like Value Electronics if price is the same for shipping like this? That's why I do it, because I spent too much time with issues. And I know that if you just tell Robert and he says he'll take care of it, I don't have to think about it. Just an email here and there, and that he's going to take care of it. But that cannot be said of Amazon or Best Buy. But again, I like Best Buy because it's local. You drive in. I've returned the 8 series because it kept on flashing. I had one of the early models of the 8 series where it kept on rebooting the Roku. And I knew that eventually they would fix it, but I didn't have time for that. I said, look, it keeps on rebooting. I'm like, okay, we'll take it back. Made it easier for me. And they plugged it in and there it was rebooting. They were plugging it. Go, see, what did I tell you, right? So sometimes, Go ahead.
We talked about purchasing from Robert and, getting the QC and all that. But, we have to also keep in mind that even if your TV comes to you clean, our crew out there that is habitual TV returners, do not buy from a company like Robert. Do not, because some people will say, well, I don't really like it. Not really liking a panel is not a reason to send it back. I know that just that's not part of you can be an elite member of Best Buy and they might take it back, but not liking it or you got the wrong size, you'll end up hurting small businesses that way. So while I like to give Robert that business, I also don't want people that are going to say, well, hey, I got it. I like it. Right. I'm sending it back, because a small business person will eventually tell you, look,
can't do it.
I can't do it. You have to go through Samsung. Where Best Buy, I think they give you up to 3 now. Amazon does maybe 3, but just be mindful that if you want to support small businesses, they'll take care of you if it's defective, but it has to really be defective. You can't have a couple little dirty screens. It's just it's a little bit more of a gray area.
No, I agree. That's one of the reasons why those who are a bit type A, FOMO, you're constantly
I sent one back. I felt terrible.
G1C1 A80J. And
go to Best Buy then. You go to Best, go to Best Buy and first look at them for a while there, and then because you're right, the bigger the company, the easier it is for them to take that kind of hit. And then Best Buy also can they can sell them open box. So if you have to, they're pretty good. They have the volume. And actually, when I return TVs, people are like, "Oh, he's coming in. I'm getting that TV because I know it's perfect." And it's
Well, I mean, my thing,
if I return it because I'm just reviewing it and that was what I had to do or whatever, but I try not to do that.
But for me with Best Buy, I think where I struggled was the TVs that I returned that I knew were defective. They had many dead pixels. They had all kinds of issues. My Vizios, there was one point where all my TVs were there on display as open boxes with no notes on them. So I went and asked the salesperson, so why did this person bring this TV back? Oh, I just didn't like it. I know full well those panels had crazy flash lighting, crazy.
Right.
So that's why I always have a hard time recommending open boxes, because they're not going to tell you there's dead pixels on it. I've never seen that.
Right. And they don't even know.
I turn them
sometimes.
on. I turn them on right in the. I'll take it if I'm going to buy a TV. I bought my KS8000 open box after Christmas in 2016 or whatever. I took it out of the box. I actually got a One Connect from a curved TV. So they took a curved a box One Connect from like a $1,200 TV, and mine was only like 800 open box or something. They gave me it, the One Connect box, because people return things without the stuff in it all the time and they don't know. So stands won't be there and all that. So anyways, I got I pieced it together myself, plugged it in, it worked, saved like $400 in the TV. So it was worth it then.
And well, to your points, where if you are on the fence, want to exchange, checking it out, that's why we're here. We're hoping to save you the time wasted, because you don't want to waste your time buying it, opening it, plug it in, realizing, oh, it's too bright, not bright enough. Yeah. Follow our reviews. You don't have to commit. I mean, it's not like if I don't buy it today, it's going to be gone, short of those last year models that are disappearing, but then you're getting it because it's such a good deal anyway. But if you're debating between the G1, C1, or A80J, take your time. Ask us, say, hey, what about this use case? One of us will have your use case specific to what you're looking for. Like right here, right? Andy was saying, I got the Q950A soundbar. This is not happening. Hey, guess who has a Q950A soundbar? It's Brian. He can now check it out, right? So let us check it out for you, because that way it saves you time and heartache. Because we have enough of these TVs to help you guys out. It really makes a difference. And then when you do get it, most of your questions are answered. So speaking of questions and comments, hey, thank you, Samix for UTV for the super chat. I'm looking to get a new Samsung 65-inch TV. Can't decide between the Q80A and Q90A. What's the major difference? Any soundbar recommendation to go with? Okay, so the QN90A is a mini LED. The Q80A is not. So I don't know if you're mixing TVs. The regular Q80A is full array local dimming, and it's definitely worse than last year's Q80T. So I choose the Q80T before I get the Q88. The QN90A is a neo QLED mini LED flagship. It's an amazing TV, but $500, $600, $700 more expensive than the Q88. Now, if you're referring to the QN85, that's the mini LED. That's one step down from the QN90A. I would pay the extra few hundred for the QN90A. It's such a great TV. It's my choice until the QNED 90 comes out. We'll check it out. Right now, it's probably the best non-OLED TV you can buy for many reasons. In a bright room, it's great. If you put it in standard mode, it could pierce the light. It has great anti-glare, anti-reflection, and it's among all the Samsungs made, it's probably one of the most accurate out there, and its motion is definitely improved. But I think across the board along the Samsungs this year, all their motions are pretty much improved now. So for me, the darkroom performance of the QN90A is pretty amazing. So that's for you guys. It's really budget. I mean, I can't imagine you'd be cross-shopping those two.
Real quick, I want to hit one of these comments. They mentioned PC Richards and Son. Just be very careful. Anything over 55 inches, you cannot get your money back. So read the bottom of your receipt. They'll replace your TV as many times if they're defective, but if you get to a point where one of my guys just wanted to tap out because his A9Gs were defective, they will not give you your money back. So over 55 inches, there is no refund. You can go as high corporate as you like. It won't happen. So just, because at times when we run out of options, eventually you want to just tap out and catch your breath because you've already been through it too much. They will just give you credit. So just be mindful of that. I want to put that out there.
Excellent. And Don B had a great comment. He had regular UPS ground for his 55-inch X950H in good condition double box. Sounds better than some of these freight shippers. Yeah, actually that does, right?
Well, I've never had something like this freight be so beat up. I mean, these are two TVs in the middle of that pallet. I mean, there's room on the edges. There was room for error to miss the TVs. I mean, they had to have just been hauling ass to do this,
Yeah.
And people have commented
that's smacking it around.
Yeah, people. Honestly, I know people like drive truck. From what it looks like to me, it looks like they tried to either lift the TVs they tried to lift it and move it, or because we couldn't figure out how they would just hit it with the fork that high up. I mean, that's middle of the TV. How could you hit it with the fork that high up unless you were trying to lift and move it? But yeah. And this is the company that they use. I mean, maybe that'll change. Maybe this company is not going to be used anymore for Waltz. And Waltz is in Arizona, and that's what someone had asked. But yeah, they ship out here. They ship nationwide too. And they're, you know, I'd have to think about, you know, offering this to friends of mine in other places of the country if they're going to treat things like this, you know?
Yeah.
If they're going to choose a freight company that treats things like this.
Especially the dollar amount. And I know they don't have that information, but they should have an invoice of some kind that, you know, I mean, it's got to be there somewhere to just.
Yeah, people had commented that they know what the things are and they just don't care.
I think it's like any other thing. Well, they'll say, you know, Best Buy people don't care. Well, maybe some do, some don't. But I think some people just are like, oh, nice TV, whack. You know, I think I just honestly don't think they give a crap. Not everybody, not every.
And they got their guy. And they got their daily things they're going through. They might be having a bad day at home. They might have had a bad morning at home with the kids, and they're coming to work and they're just moving boxes. They don't, you know.
Yeah, everybody's an individual that way, which unfortunately.
And well, that goes to a really great point. There was a survey taken, and judges, when they are sentencing defendants who've been found guilty, always get sentenced after lunch, never before lunch. If it's just before lunch, he's grumpy, he wants to get out, you get the worst sentence. And if it's right after lunch,
heard that before.
Right after lunch, the sentences are and they're like, "What the heck?" Right? And over this is the entire country, right before lunch, the sentences are consistently higher than right after lunch, and they tried to normalize and equalize for similar charges.
Jesus,
like, wow, man, if you're stuck before lunch, just say, can we take a recess? I want to come back after lunch. All right?
Just grab yourself a Happy Meal. Talk to me later, please.
Same thing with deliberation. You better hope that the jury deliberates after lunch, because if it's before lunch, you'll be like, let's get guilty. Let's get to lunch.
Right. So the last thing you want is the person delivering your TV. The wife is calling, like, you know what? I'm having an affair. I'm leaving you. And then that's it. All right. Hey, TechMed, thanks for that super chat and his comment. I don't like people who buy without thinking about it before and then sending everything back. It might happen, but as exception to the rule. And this is why I think YouTube is great. We get to sit here and discuss this to death. I've got so many viewers. I know you guys too. Hey, even Classy, right? He's going back and forth. And he has a review channel. He has these TVs, and he still couldn't decide. And so that's why we're here, is let us go through the process, go through the pain, follow our journey. And then once we figure it out, I'm sure you will too. So yeah, great comment.
So expand upon what TechMed said. He's talking about also them not doing their research. I did a video a couple of years ago. I got murdered for it. And it was about habitual people that want to return TVs. They're so undecisive what they want, but that's not the manufacturer's fault. You can't, I mean, I know these companies are huge and there's this whole big thing about, well, Samsung, that it's all down the line. You can't buy these things, unbox them, have fun with them, send them back. You really can't or should not do that. And the consumers do that 5-6 times. That's why we're all blacklisted. That's why those of us that really have, I was blacklisted at Best Buy. I spent thousands there, receivers, TVs. I was the elite member, whatever crap. But, I had defective panels. But throughout the country, people are just sending them back to send them back. Yeah. And they keep them for 6 months. They use the Best Buy Geek Squad. They'll say it's defective in 2 years. And they'll game it. And that's just not right. And it's making it to where when you really have an issue, you really can't get any help because they're looking at you that way.
And as I tell everyone, that Geek Squad is definitely worth it if you get a Vizio. Trust me on that. Okay, David Royce, thank you for the super chat. You ordered an A8H for $1,600. Wow, that's the deal we were talking about on Prime Day. And an A80CJ 2200 for 17 delivery. So I guess he means the A80J OLED Sony. Both of them, and replacing the 55-inch plasma from 2013, 6 feet from screen, no gaming. Which order should I cancel? Okay, I'm assuming
there's a big ball and buying them both.
Yeah,
keep them both,
or get the large. Well, they're both 65 inches, right? The 2200, 6 feet.
I don't think those are the 60. Oh, replacing the 55. I got you. Okay.
Yeah, so you got to go with the A80J. if it's between the two, because if you could, obviously you could afford it, right? The question is, you want to save a little bit of money, you will enjoy the A80J. And I think, well, this is great for you guys. You guys actually have the A80J. I have the A90, so I'm biased on the A90. How much better is the A80J than the A8H, as you've seen both of them, and even side by side, Brandon?
Well, I mean, I think the A80J is definitely brighter, and it had the processor, if not just the TV by itself. So, I mean, even though he doesn't game, it's a newer TV. And if you, like you said, you bought both of these TVs, so you had the cash to buy both at once. So, you know, most people don't have that option. I would probably just get the A80CJ. That's the Costco one. So I'm not sure if that's you got some sort of additional warranty or cash back or anything, but I would probably just keep that, because the A8H was a slight bit underwhelming. With regards to its size and then brightness, you know, between that and the C10, it was great. It's a great TV. But I just, you know, I'd probably go for the A80J. It's a little brighter, and it has HDMI 2.1, newer TV, get the firmware updates, all that kind of stuff. But I don't think either one of them is a bad choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I got to go A80. The processor alone is worth the price difference, and so is the HDMI 2.1, even if you don't game, just to have something that's newer and more future proof. And it sounds great. It's got great sound in it. Agreed.
And I think to his last question, he's 6 feet from the screen. So we'll go through this viewing distance calculator real quick with you guys. So this time it's 6 feet, not 6 meters. Right? I was like, what the heck's happening here? Diagonal size 65 inches. So you enter 6 feet, 16.9, 65 inches, calculate, perfect, 43 degrees. So this means that if you sit any closer, you may start to hurt your neck, but I would put the limit at 43-degree viewing angle. I don't like to go above 43 viewing angle, because then some people might have to kind of turn their head just a bit. 43 just fits with some space. Now, some people feel this is maybe too close. They want to stay under 40. So this is subjective, right? Yeah, I know. I'm a big fan of the 40. I got a
77-inch on my lap.
So, hey, how far are you sitting from your 77-inch? Let's do the Brian.
I'm 11 feet away, and I'm too far.
You're 11 feet
optimal,
away.
According to Robert, is 7 feet, 77 inches.
Okay, 11 feet away, and you get yourself a 77-inch.
Too far.
Calculate 28 degrees. Dude, you are too far.
Too far.
That is way too far.
You got to hug it. Yeah. So, the 7 feet.
You need to be above 38, definitely.
Yep. So 7 feet, 7 feet, 77 inches. I mean, people think that's crazy, but you have to be close. And 8K is going to make that even worse.
Let's say 100 inches at 11 feet. See, even at 11 feet, 100 inches, 36 degrees. You're paying 20 grand. You got to go projector practically. Most people at this distance, I would suggest going projector to get that immersion, because in my opinion, now obviously we've had the tiny 28-inch TVs from the 80s, and we're used to that. But today, TVs are a little bit cheaper. If you can sit closer and get to within the 40 degree, which I think is a sweet spot between 40 and 43, that's how I determine size. So yeah, use this. I've linked it. I'll link it one more time for you guys. I think it's a great tool to play with. The key is the angle.
The angle is
40 and 43. Yeah, the angle really helps for me. So
I will say my experience with being closer to these displays is being a little farther away for films helps clarity. Being closer to the actual gaming, you can sit with your face to the screen.
Yeah,
but you get a little too close, you can see the noise in the image. Being a little farther away does help it. So, and we talk about that being a little softer. Wasn't softer with gaming, but softer in films.
That makes sense. And gain the detail. You want that sharp detail, because they do such a good job with that. Hey, Spillage Village, thank you for the super chat. Got a 55-inch TCL R615 delivered from Best Buy with glass from the LCD falling out of the box. It's like,
oh man.
Was it tinkle, tinkle? That's not good. I'm not going to open this box. I hear breaking glass. I was able to exchange at Best Buy pretty easily. I wonder how these situations can be avoided. It can't, Spillage, because once it leaves Best Buy, it's actually, you know, in good shape. The problem is by the time it gets to you, it isn't, and it's just part of delivery. You know, it really can't be avoided. What you can do is refuse delivery when this happens. Now, like Brandon said, he knew the individual, and you know he's going to do the review, so he knew it would be taken care of. But you cannot assume that with your retailer. Just make it a policy to reject it. Hey, Brandon, I see you have image there. You want to
Yeah, I
talk
mean,
about
I
that?
was just going to show it. We
Yeah.
were talking about viewing distance. So
Okay.
there is the 83-inch A90J that I did an unboxing video. So if you guys want to watch that, I'll have it up tomorrow morning. But yeah, I mean, that's
83 inches.
Yeah, and if you
It's a
look,
big table.
that's an 8-foot table.
You know,
for,
we
like,
need you
serving
to
food on it, like
I
serving
need you
food
to
for your
stand
family.
next to that. I need you to stand
Yeah.
next to that TV for scale.
It's
Right?
like a bachelor party table.
Here, I'll
Some sauce
I'll
and
load up a
peppers.
picture of me standing there. Hold on
Awesome.
a second. You can take that away. I'll give you another picture.
All right. So quick super chat. Thank you, Bobby Jackson. I've got FOMO no more. I love that. Picked up a 65-inch A80J. Excellent choice. Is it common for HDMI ports to be missing picture modes? Standard seems to be missing. No, you should have all the picture modes available to you. Have you seen this? You have the A80J. It should not be missing, Bobby. I am sorry if it's missing. Make sure you check.
What are you in HDR or is sometimes when
HDMI? He's plugged. Are you using a Blu-ray player, something like that? But it shouldn't be missing regardless, right? It doesn't matter what you plug in.
Well, some manufacturers, if you're in HDR, I know LG does. If you're in HDR, there's different presets. If you're not in HDR, you'll have, LG has many more presets out of HDR, is what I'm saying. So, Bobby, if your standard should always be there, what's he saying? Bobby, are you on a Blu-ray player? Which HDMI?
Right, and maybe Dolby Vision, your setting on the HDMI might be enhanced, and they take out standard. Let us know.
Maybe he has. Let me check.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Customer service. So, Bobby, let us know what source and what you're playing. Is it Dolby Vision? Is it HDR? Is it SDR? What player you have? And we'll try to work through it on this stream if we can. Thanks for that. And Andy, thank you for that super chat. Vamps TV in the chat said he wasn't able to get DTSX tested on his Q950A, and same piece of equipment as you. So it looks like maybe it's a problem thing. So Brian will most likely have issue as well with the QN950A. Now the question is it the Sony TV or the soundbar? Very good question. So I have other TVs that do have a eARC capability. And actually, Brian does. I don't have the 950A. So we'll ask Brian to test it on his other TVs. He has the X90J. I think he may still have that. He has the C10, or did he? I think he still does. He'll test that and we'll find out. Hey, TechMed, feel a bit sick, leaving early. Hey, take care of yourself, man. Don't stay up too late. Yeah, we were talking about Andy. Here, let me put this one again. It's not working with the 950A soundbar and the Sony A90J, and most likely the A80J. So the question is whether it's the TV or the sound bar. And
yeah, I wouldn't know about that. We need Techno Dad today, man.
I know, right? He's celebrating. All right, he got his plaque. You saw that?
Yeah, no, that was so cool.
That's awesome. But so now that you have these different sizes, Brandon, you've seen the 77, you've seen the 65, all that stuff. Is 83, you can't go back? I mean, this is it. The 83 is the TV for you?
I mean, it's so, I had that TCL XL TV.
Yes.
And
85.
It was an 85, but it just felt a lot bigger than this TV, like in like a negative way. Like it was bulky, it was fat, it was just like, I put it on the wall. It was a little high on the wall when I put it up there. I feel like this 83-inch is a perfect size. I mean, we are only like 8 to 10 feet away at the most from this TV.
Mm-hmm.
I think we could have got away with the 77, but I mean, I was trying to figure out which of the TVs, because it's not like these companies are making it easy for us because they have all the different sizes. I mean, I could have got the C1 in 77 or 83. So that was something I could have done, but I thought that the Sony A80J was something that we really wanted in the living room. And so the 83-inch was the option. I think even if there was a 77-inch or 83, I probably would have just went with the 83. So yes, I think that means I was looking for an 85, 85, 83.
Yeah, me too. Since I'll be doing movie reviews, reference type of movie reviews, I want the TV to be large so that I could kind of get a feel for the immersion of the movie and have it as color accurate as possible. And only the Sony A90J gets you there. And since I'll be watching the dark, the Z9J its strength is in a bright room, so I kind of be wasting all that brightness, although it may be a little bit sharper. If I sat closer, I probably wouldn't be sitting that close. Hey, Andrew, thank you for the super chat. Been enjoying my 65-inch U8G. Yes, isn't a great TV. And new 4K Blu-ray player. Just watched Fellowship of the Ring on 4K. Holy mother, slight upgrade from my 42-inch Vizio E-Series. Yeah, an understatement. That 4K on the U8G. It's bright, it's punchy, the HDR. I mean, that thing is, yeah. I'm glad you enjoyed that. So let's go back to the question of Bobby Jackson. Were you able to check that HDMI 3?
Yeah,
Brian?
the Google Chromecast is forcing Dolby Vision. So what he's seeing is Dolby Vision dark, bright, and vivid. So it does take out standard when in Dolby Vision. It should, when you do watch content, it should knock itself out. It shouldn't be, but I would go in. That's kind of the problem with this whole having to disable Dolby Vision and the manage your HDMI inputs. But that's why you're not seeing standard. It's not I didn't notice that on the other inputs, but the Chromecast is forcing Dolby Vision. So nothing's wrong with your TV. You can go into the HDMI, enhance HDMI part, and just put in HDR, or not the Dolby Vision one, the other one, enhance.
Then have 4K 120?
Then have 4K 120. So the HDMI, imagine the HDMI 3, you have to set up your HDMI, then go into enhance HDMI, and pick it. It must be out of the box because I didn't do anything to that port. It must be trying to do Dolby Vision and it's forcing it.
Yeah. Toggle that, Bobby, and let us know how that goes. Thank you.
You'll see it in your input section, Bobby, in the setup. You have to go through a couple slides, but you'll see enhanced HDMI. Just choose the one that's not Dolby Vision.
And that's what Don B is saying as well. For Sony, only Dolby Vision input limits picture modes to those 3. And that's the thing with Dolby Vision. If you have Dolby Vision, you wouldn't want to be in standard anyway. Yeah. So you would take it off of Dolby Vision and watch just regular HDR10.
But standard looks great on the Sony. I mean, it does.
Awesome. And it's bright. It's a little bit brighter too. If you need that slight extra punch, standard will do it.
Samsung look to it.
Great for the news, right? Add the dynamic contrast and boom, totally. And here we go. Oh, so we were talking about TV sizes that you feel comfortable with. So Brandon feels like 83-inch. This is where he's going to stay. How about you, Brian? Is 85? 86? 86 the LG QNED 99.
I mean, we're going to review it, and I'll have the opportunity to purchase it. Obviously, I think the size is awesome. It might be a little too big, but if it was an 86 OLED, I would be fine. But I'm so allergic to blooming at this point that I'm a little nervous about what I've seen about it online.
Right.
Even the videos that you and I talked about, there's pretty bad blooming on it, and it's a first generation. But anything larger, I would never buy a larger than that TV. You'd have to go into just the practicality of a projector at that point.
Right.
TVs are just too big.
Well, speaking of too big, here we have some perspective. So we have Brandon. How tall are you, my friend?
6'2".
6'2".
My wife's 5 foot tall.
This is a big TV.
And I have a couple more pictures. I just like loading them up.
Yeah. So, you really do that to your wife? My wife hates when I have her whole TV.
She's in the video making jokes, man. She's hilarious. She's got like jokes in this video.
She's like, I'm stronger than you, buddy.
She's beating me up in the video games afterwards too. Like
she's like doing CrossFit, rolling tires.
And then there's me like TV. Frozen standing next to it. So I mean, it's like mid waist to my top of my head. I mean, it's it's 48 inches tall or 44 inches tall or something like that. So it's pretty big. And it was definitely hard to get that on. She had to like walk around the table to get that on the table.
No, that thing is about 100 pounds for everyone to know, right? So without the stand, it's about 100 pounds, and it would be just on the edge of many wall mounts. So if you want a wall mount this, make sure your wall mount has above 110 pounds, right?
That one that you were offering, like the one that you talked about, the Sanus one, I think I'm going to get that. Probably.
Yeah, that one's awesome.
It can hold, like the one that I have could probably do, but it's kind of like on the edge of it. I don't really want to put it on that one, but yeah.
The one that, so the Sanus one does up to 125 and 90 inches. And the other one I really like was that mantle mount. That one also goes up to like 140 15 pounds or whatever. So you really have to make sure you choose well. Hey, thank you for the super chat, Michael. Just ordered a 77 G10 first OLED coming from a 2015 Samsung JS8500. My only concern is burn-in. I game about 3 hours a day. Same game. Should I worry? I don't think 3 hours is long enough to worry. I think you're okay. The 10 series has a lot of the anti-burn-in algorithms and precautions built into it. I think he's okay with 3 hours of gaming, even if it's the same game. What are your thoughts, Mr. Gamer Brian?
I would say you're fine, but definitely go into YouTube, set yourself up your favorite demos full screen. Do about 8 or 9 of them, 10 of them, 2 minutes each, and then run it after you play. Just get those pixels, those static images. In theory, you should be fine, but I still do it every time I game, just because those static images in the same spot, they don't move those logos around, especially if you're in a first-person shooter. So just take one extra step as you're powering down, hit home, go to YouTube, and just run it. And I know that's a lot of work for people, but you want higher end, better picture quality. Take a few minutes and make sure it'll never happen. I've gamed on them all very hard. I have no burn-in for that one step. So I'd say yes, but take that extra few minutes. And one thing it'll definitely do is it'll give you the affirmation of buying a nice TV, because the demos look amazing on it. So you're like, damn, that thing looks really nice. Well, make it up. And I would just it's almost like a pixel shift for me. Or people fall in love with the, when they do all that, what's the name of it when they do the pixel refresh thing?
Pixel refresh. Don't
fall in love with that. It's like a dermabrasion. You don't use it habitually. Use this instead, and just get the biggest demos you like. The Apple ones. The LG Global demos are amazing. The new QNED ones.
Right.
Just run them. Run them, and it's something to look at while you're playing.
And another magician just said that too. Apple TV, the screensaver, you can just run that. That runs that. I have that on Dolby Vision, so
cool.
That's full screen, and those just rotate. There's really slow, like they're normally flyovers.
Stuff to look at. They look great.
And speaking of pixel refresh, just a reminder for those that may have gotten their first LG OLED, a C1 or a G1, and you're seeing some of those grids or Venetian blind. One of the recommendations that Brandon worked for him is do a pixel refresh at that time. Maybe it would clear it up. But if it doesn't,
that was from Magician AV too.
Magician, right? Yeah,
he mentioned that to me as well. I know other people have mentioned that too, so it's good.
Yeah, we talked about it, and also even after 100 hours, sometimes it can fade. So you can see.
Hey, Brandon, did you get to see? Thanks for the super chat, Dan. Screen uniformity 83-inch. Are you there yet, or just?
No, I did. I looked at it briefly. It looked like it had a little bit of little kind of like spot vertical in the middle bottom. It wasn't great. Overall, it's fine. There isn't like a significant change of color from one side to the other. There was no like red flags, but I did do a pixel refresh. I haven't looked at it since, but I'm going to give it some time. I don't think that I see anything that would make me want to send it back. I ran the dirty screen hockey test from Modern Wise just to look at it. And that helps because I can really focus on that. And then it makes me look like, okay, am I going to notice anything when I watch content? I don't think there's anything there I'm going to see.
Yeah. And that's a reminder for everyone that just because the TV is larger and more expensive, it doesn't mean that it has any less panel lottery issues, because a lot of people want to buy their way out. You know what? 77 inches fine, but if I pay for the 83, it must be better, right? It costs $3,000 more. If anything, the risk of these slight imperfections in terms of DSC may be worse, right? So, and I know this is something that Brian talks about all the time, but Brian, speaking of you, I think this question kind of goes to your experience with IPS, and this is a good one. Thank you for the question, Christian. Hey guys, if you have to choose between a VA panel without full array local dimming with 7300 to 1 contrast, or an IPS with full local dimming, like an LG IPS, with a contrast of less, 1500 to 1, which is better? Both are 55 inches.
I cannot have you can't not have local dimming.
Yeah.
It's just that you have to ask I don't care about the contrast ratio at all. Without that ability to keep blooming and things to a minimum, local dimming is a necessity.
Yeah.
It's just a necessity.
So you would go with the IPS with the FALD for local dimming. And this year, some of the Samsung premium TVs, right? The QNED 85A is a type of IPS with flow array local dimming as well, and it looks phenomenal. By the way, straight on, right? It's at an angle. It's an issue.
Well, I mean, we talked about this when we saw the only, I've said this before, the only Nano that I thought looked amazing was that one 8K Nano, and it was beating up on the QN900A when we unboxed it. Now the QN900A took a couple updates and looked better, but it had less blooming. It looked more VA than the Samsung did. So I do have high hopes for the QNED in that regard, but chances are that technology will be saved for the 8K variant.
Yeah. And a lot of the TV companies, they are definitely separating their good LCD TVs from their mid-tier. I mean, the separation is becoming farther and farther apart. It's almost as if there's nothing in between a flagship and then the drop down. Like even their number two, the performance differential is too much. So I'm almost limited to like, look, you either go with the best Samsung or a really good Hisense, right? Their flagship, or you really save money and go all the way down, because the middle ground is just, you're just paying way too much.
It's a shame too, because Samsung, their 8 series was always a great choice. You know, and Sony always had really good mid-level choices. You know, but it's, when you're changing VA to IPS and you're losing mini LED and all that, it just, and again, the common person doesn't know that. That's the part that's, the regular buyer doesn't know. They're probably happy, but most people, well, I got this cheaper one, and it's a shame. They should. I like that they had step-down models that were great.
The Q90R, the Q80R, that's the perfect example. That was 2019.
Q8FN, Q9FN were both
they were close enough, but they took out the less important things. Maybe audio was dropped down, you know, a few less dimming zones, but they didn't convert it to an IPS panel and then stripped the dimming zones down, the lighting. I mean, it's so stripped down now. It's embarrassing. Hey, Inter, thanks for the super chat. I don't see your question, so if I don't catch it, just keep on asking, and one of us will catch it. Thank you so much for that. Hey, Travis, welcome. Thank you for the super chat. Another regular. When do you think 4K projectors will really challenge the new ultra-large TVs? This year, next, what feature are missing now? So this is a great question, and I know that many debate this. Many in the home theater YouTuber section. I'm sure if Spare Change was on here, we'd have a very lively debate.
We had we almost came to
blows.
Because I mean, his was either a JVC or one of it's like $15,000. Oh yeah,
sure.
It's amazing. You know,
let's do the devil's advocate, right? So on the OLED side, the HDR, the deep blacks, nothing from projector side will come close unless it's a laser projector, but we'll put that aside for now. So we're not going to talk about laser projectors. We'll talk about the JVC, the Sonys, the $15,000 to $25,000 ones, right? These are the best reference ones. And what makes them awesome is they are more similar to the movie theater than you'll ever get with an OLED. The OLED is just sharp. It's HDR. You don't get real HDR in the movie theater. A lot of people don't realize this. When you're sitting at home and you're watching that Blu-ray Dolby Vision, you're not getting that in the movie theater. Doesn't, that dynamic range isn't there. And people are thinking, wow, I don't want to say it's better, but it's more hyper real, because in real life, that's what you get. And so this is the debate. The movie theaters suspend reality, and projectors are consistent with that suspension. But as projectors get closer to laser projectors, suddenly that suspension through slight softness, right? The 4K, not true HDR, but close enough, you're going to lose that. And some people prefer that. So Travis, you have to ask yourself, what look do you like? Do you like the hyper reality of OLED? Which I do, by the way. That's why I have the OLED, but others don't. Like Shane, Spare Change, he respects the OLED, but his position is, look, I want a real good projector that is like the movie theater. And you're not getting that with OLED. So that's kind of like my thing. I don't think they're ever going to cross over unless they do laser. What do you guys think about the projectors?
Sitting in his theater, honestly, and watching a terrible movie, which was what, Rise of the Jedi or one of those awful films, but with his sound system, but the fact that, again, the way projectors show their image, that grain is beautiful. That filmic look, Apocalypse Now, all these films are stunning because they're filmic. Filmic on a sharp Samsung or even an OLED, you're like, ooh, what is that noise? So, and quickly, if you remember the demos from like HD DVD back in the day, the old Blu-ray demos that they would show, those were with motion interpolation engaged, and they showed this cleanliness that was never in the theater. So we got so addicted to that clean, sharp image. If you remember those demos, 300, you know, you watch 300, you're like, Jesus, that movie looks terrible.
I know, right? It's like, it looks like a cartoon.
But it's almost like how they made HDR for us, marketing wise, think it's going to be this bright image when HDR was really about color. But they sold it as explosions and brightness, and the same for cleanliness. So if you want a filmic image that everything looks good on and you want to go big, no TV will touch a projector. But if you want those, especially for gaming, clean lines, black level, specular highlights, projectors will never achieve that for gaming. It doesn't, it's just, and gaming on a 200-inch screen, I do it. It's not that fun.
And you know, I want to mention something real quick. Speaking of grain, and I have the A90J 65-inch. I have the QNED 65-inch. They were both running Matrix, the remastered 4K. It has grain. If you watch it on either the A80J or the A90J, you see the grain. And no matter what you do, denoise, I might try everything, the grain is still there, which I found, okay, it is what it is. It's the source. But on the QN90A, the grain is gone. And I didn't have to do anything special. So if you hate grain as part of the source, the Samsung does a better job of naturally removing the grain. And whether or not that's what the creator's intent is a whole other matter. Maybe the grain is supposed to be there. But the QN90A, and I noticed this on the Q900TS as well. On the A9G versus Q900TS, I saw this with Lawrence of Arabia. I thought maybe it was the 8K upscaling. I really think it's the Samsung denoising processing. They do a great job of grain without adding any sharpening to it. So if you dislike film grain, then the QN90A has done a phenomenal job of just making it not noticeable, whereas it is very noticeable on the A90J and A9G as well. I think it's a Sony processing thing. They're okay with grain, and Samsung just wants to separate themselves. So something to think about. Schlep Rock, thanks for the super chat. 85-inch, or is that 85 feet? 85-inch QN90A or 77-inch A80J, same price. I think the QN90A is so good that I go bigger, especially if it's in the mixed lighting. If it's pitch dark, I might still go with the QN90A. 85 inches is really big. What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Brian.
Nah, I don't know. I probably couldn't go with the. I am. If you give me a 77-inch OLED, I'm probably keeping it over still any 85-inch QLED. I have not found a QLED where I've sat in front of it and been like, sweet at that size, at 85-inch, without seeing some sort of flaw. And listen, OLEDs aren't flawless. I mean, they're not as bright, you know, but when you get HDR, we watch a lot of HDR movies, and I'm in awe. The whole family is like, we haven't watched anything major on that TV out there yet, but I know what we're in for, you know, and so that's a 83, but it's tough. I think this would really come down to like room conditions and maybe gaming or not. I guess gaming is still okay on the A80J, but if they're like, oh, my room's super bright, then I maybe would go with that. Or if they're doing like sports, watching SDR and sports, and like they're like, I'm a huge football guy and I watch football all the time, you know, okay, then I could see it. But if you want like spectacular HDR, I'm just still not feeling all of the QN90A for that, with kind of how it has the aggressive local dimming and still, you know, blooming at the same time.
Yeah.
So.
Which would you choose, Brian? Mr. Big or go home?
I gotta go with Samsung, just in the sense of I like the specular highlights of Samsung during HDR. If you can guarantee me I get a clean one.
Oh, that's another good point.
It would be because I'm making this decision right now, guys. I mean, I have an A80J on the wall. My next TV for the basement is going to be one of those panels, and the 85 is in the running with the Z9J, the QNED, and obviously the 83-inch A90 and the 83-inch C1. So I'm in that, but the jump from 77 to 85 is epic. And if you need that size and you are farther away, there's no way the 77-inch is going to be enough. If you need that size, if you're going to be right on top of it and you're close, I would not recommend being close to an 85-inch Samsung, because it's going to be especially in LED. It's not going to feel clean as you're that close. So if you have the room, you know, I would go for it. But I like LEDs more than the rest of us out here. But the problem with Samsung is just their quality control is awful.
Yeah.
So just be careful with it.
I'd add one more context that I forgot to ask you, Schlep Rock. I love the Flintstones. So I'm sorry. So if you've never had an OLED before, the QNED is a great TV. But if you're coming from an OLED, I'm with Brandon. You're going to notice this the slightly crushed blacks, but more importantly, you'll notice that the peak specular highlights could be a little bit brighter, but that's because you're coming from an OLED. So if you're coming from a TV that's not an OLED, QNED is amazing with the 85-inch. But then we have to be grounded by the DSE, the dirty screen effect panel lottery, that Samsung is just not seeming to do well with across all their sizes. I'm not just saying 85-inch. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So the A80J 77-inch, Robert at Value Electronics has found them to be consistently better in terms of DSE, uniformity. So maybe on that, forget size, practicality, quality control,
that's a different conversation.
Consistency, right? I might go with the 77-inch.
And I was, and to the point what Brian was saying, it is obviously brighter and better highlights in the bright stuff. What I was kind of getting at, what I keep thinking, remembering in my mind is when I was testing it, it was darker scenes. And then it was like really kind of like crushing the highlights because it was trying to be so aggressive and getting that black level down that it was just kind of like, that's what the A90J next to it. It was like brighter in some of those. Have you seen those like 4K or 8K videos on YouTube where it's just like a flower and everything around it's black? And they just slow-mo around it. That's where like the actual flower in the middle on the QNED wasn't even as bright. I think you did the same thing, FOMO, with that eagle, right? There was an eagle on the screen, and it was like you could see it was having a hard time deciding should it go dark or bright, and it was like that the dimming issues. But with bright content, it's no contest, you know. Yeah, and that's where it can be overwhelming, and it can be awesome in a bright room because it's like it just crushes any kind of window glare in the background. You know?
The movie I like for that too is Gemini Man. You know, Gemini Man looks amazing on OLEDs for one reason, but the pop of those explosions and that last scene where he shoots him and he's on fire, watch that on an OLED, then watch it on an LED, and you'll see the separation of the peak brightness on an LED. I have to say one thing about one comment. My guy Neil here says, I can't believe Brian voted against his own TV. Neil, I don't fall in love, brother. Don't ever think about what I have here as I'll never defend what I have here. If I think something is better or I think you should pick something different, I'll always go against. If I think it is, I'll never, you know what I mean? Like I'll give you a good review on what I own, but I'll never treat that like it's my kid. So if I think that's a better decision, you know, I'm not going to parade around my own TV and say you have to go here with this. I'll tell you that I think that one's better in this regard. And I think the A80J is incredible. I mean, it blows me away every time I turn it on. But the question was 77 or 85. And just because I like my TV, don't expect me just to pick it. So you're not getting honesty out of me or out of us if I'm just picking the one that I have currently. Yeah.
Travis has a good question, or what you think, what your response to this comment, because I know you like the Nano99. He just checked Value Electronics. The LG 75-inch Nano99 8K is now $3,000. For 75 inches, even though it's 8K, do you think it's worth $3,000? What about the 75-inch X950H for $2,000? Which would you choose, Brian? I know you've seen both.
The Nano held its own against the 8K QN900A. I mean, it's gorgeous. The challenge is going to be, it's a tough call. I'm not sure if that particular panel has all the gaming features that the LG OLEDs do. I know the QNEDs will have them. I'm not sure that they do. I don't know enough about the particulars of the 8K TV. Picture quality wise, though, it's still IPS. So that's going to be, it doesn't look IPS, but that's the problem. I guess my thing for you, Travis, is 8K is just, for me, still not necessary unless I'm past 75. So I just think you're getting it to have a panel with a higher pixel density. So I would still go 950H probably at that point.
And in that, I think the 950H is like a few $100s less than that too, you know?
Yeah. I mean, the problem again with the 950H is And this is where Robert and I said this the other day, and we were talking about, I do tend to recommend TVs from last year. The problem is this new processor is off the charts from Sony. And I never plug processors. Agreed. This thing is next level. So, I would definitely, that's a hard one. But 8K is a bragging rights thing right now. I just don't recommend unless you're going up higher in size.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I would go with the 950H, especially if it's in a brighter room. I think people will not notice the difference. You're not getting the benefit. Even at 75 inches, I don't think it's large enough for 8K. I think you got to go at least 85. Hey, Jay, I hope we didn't scare you into not buying from Best Buy because of our shipping issues. He just canceled his G1 Best Buy order. Going with Robert with full service. The saga continues. And that's the thing is, it really is a white glove treatment. If you have the budget and you can go anywhere, then people go with Robert because they could afford that extra 10-15% premium for that. But if you're trying to get the best TV you can for the lowest price you can, then of course, these are the risks you take. So, well, Jay, hopefully Robert takes care of you. I'm sure he'll let us know.
Well, tell him we sent you. I mean, he'll take care of you.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You. Yeah.
And I mean, he'll match his prices. They're at the moment. So they don't make up their own prices. I will tell you though, and I know I can say this, is that they had mentioned if you're an A9G fan, Sony's officially out of stock.
The A90J?
Or the A9G.
A9G.
Sony themselves don't have them anymore. So you may see that price go back up. So if you're eyeing an A9G, there's only a few left in the wild. If you want it, grab it. I can't recommend grabbing it, but these companies are changing prices on a dime now.
They are.
Like by the day, and Robert is up on that. He can't change that price. He changes it with them. So if Best Buy's price is that, Value Electronics price will be that as well.
This is a great comparison. Now, I haven't heard the trend yet, but unknown user is saying he went the 890J. Mostly, it appears they have more cleaner consistency of clean, no DSC, no grid, better than the 65-inch version. And of course, BAT is similarly making these observations as well. There's lots of complaints. OLED 2021 owners not happy with their panels. Lottery seems to be the same. And the reason why it's the same is they get all their OLED panels from LG Display, Sony, Panasonic, and LG Electronics. LG Display is the only provider of OLED display panels. And so if they're kind of bad, it's all coming from the same plant more likely than not. And it is a new Evo panel, or the new panel this year. So they share similar issues, but it appears that Sony has a little bit less of some of those issues for whatever reason. That's been Robert's observation.
So when I interviewed Robert and asked him his percentage, I think out of 83 inch A90Js, he's had 3 rejected. Where if you went by AVS forums, they're all bad. So,
stay away from the forum.
But I mean, they're saying they're all bad. And he's saying, no, he had more rejects on regular A90Js, but that was a much higher volume. But he found them to be pretty clean.
And for those of you who like the A90J remote control because it's backlit, Don B now has it for his A80J. I do like the backlit. Right, but remember to get rechargeable batteries. Where they're eating up our batteries like crazy, right? Brandon, how many times have you replaced your batteries now?
I got it on Prime Day. One of my only purchases besides the stuff for people like Don B. He should be getting his Fire TV stick today.
Congratulations, Don B.
Nice. Yeah, I got a 12-pack of rechargeable batteries on Amazon because I've only gone through one set, but it's been a couple months, so I'm not looking to go through 6 pairs of batteries, if that math is correct, on every TV. So yeah,
no, agreed.
It is dope though. I love that remote. I have 2 of those remotes in the house now, so, and I'm stoked because it also works to wake up an Apple TV where the LG remote doesn't do that. So it's good.
And this is something that I know a lot of people are talking about. David has a great comment
David,
here.
What's up? Love David.
He can't afford the 83-inch A90J. And by the way, few people can. For me, it's a business write-off. That's why I'm buying it. But otherwise, my wife would kill me. Like, what? You're spending how much on a TV? What? And so the reality is, if you wait, even though it's a master series, look at the A9G, it's slowly dropped in price, whether it's the 77-inch or the 65 or the 55. The 83 will go down if you're willing to wait. Now, if you can't wait, obviously the 77-inch. What are your predictions for when the A90J will have some significant price drops, Brian. What are you thinking?
It's not going to drop at all.
Not this year, but a year, 2 years?
It'll be at least a year. I mean, they had a $1,000 price plan for last week, was supposed to drop, and they canceled it. So, David, I mean, Master Series tend not to move unless the Z9F is the only one I've ever seen drop in price. But unfortunately, due to the constraint, these companies are not. I mean, they're raising the price of the A9G. They don't feel the need to drop the price. If you really want that TV and you can wait, I would wait for it. To me, it's worth the size and extra performance. I would definitely wait for it. But as far as waiting for a price drop, it's just not going to happen for quite a while. And
here's a fellow YouTuber, Brass Tax. I think he missed our discussion on the projection versus OLED.
So he's looking at a lot of love to Brass Tax, one of my best friends out there. We gotta get him on here at some point. He does 4K Blu-ray reviews, and he's looking at a projector right now. So we'll get him on here at some point, right? Brass, come on.
Yeah. Is he in Europe?
He's in the UK.
All right. We haven't had
a check him out. He's got great reviews. And one more shout out. I have Duck, who's one of my boys in there. His girlfriend's watching right now. So I was told, to Duck's girlfriend, he needs an A80J. It'll be better for your relationship. The romance will be better. Everything's going to be better. So let him purchase it. All right, Duck, you're welcome.
and for you newbie up and coming YouTubers out there like Tech with KG and Classy, I'm assuming you're keeping track of all your receipts because this is a write-off. All of this is a write-off. Yeah. Make sure you track your receipts. It's not for personal use. The way we go through TVs, right? You can't afford to do this if it wasn't. Doesn't mean it's free, but if it's a tax write-off, that means that at least it's highly discounted, and it helps a lot. So it's something to think about. All right, what is in store for your channels this week as we wrap up this Saturday? I don't want to hold you guys too long. We'll start with you, Brian. What's happening with you?
Well, I'm not doing a lot of content because my house is being rebuilt, but I'm looking at the A80J versus the LG CX, the CX or the A80J versus the X90J, the 900E versus the X90. So I have a lot of good things coming up, and also running some gaming to see how 4K 120 feels on the A80J, Ratchet and Clank, Guilty Gear, and some other stuff. So I'll tell you, my panel, that panel is absolutely clean. I just took it out of the box, got it up. I love it. I think it's, really, really beautiful panel. I was, and we were talking to Ratings, which I gotta thank B for putting me on with them. That was an awesome experience. Their review of the A80 is not great. Mm-hmm. Subpar. Not to say I disagree, but my eyes tell me different. The panel blows me away. I think it's absolutely stunning. Been very, very happy with it. And to the point to where I'm watching a lot of movies that a lot of us have killed, and I think it looks amazing. I think the processor is fantastic. So I'm really, really impressed with it. So I'll do an early review for that and just get back to making more content. So,
all right. Brandon, I know you have lots of special things in store this week. What's in your pipe?
I'm going to be, doing the unboxing video right now for tomorrow. And then, I'm looking at wanting to compare and show people like how much bigger this TV is and brighter. I'm going to use the 65-inch C10 and kind of show people the difference like in size, just so they can like see that in their,
Good idea.
You can put the C10 in front of it and you still have half a screen left around it. So, it's just a massive difference. And then I'm going to, I have some Wi-Fi stuff. I'm going to do something on this Orbi because a lot of people ask me about internet and just in general. I know you had some issues with that one, but man, if I love this, I'm going to start putting marks on my property and show you guys where I could get with my TP-Link router that was a 3-point router and how far away from my house I can get with this Orbi. When I drive into my driveway, I'm already connected to the internet. So it's really awesome.
I have to talk to you about that. We have to do that because
it's insane, dude. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. You've convinced me. Black Friday, I'm going to get that Orbi.
Yeah. If you get a lot of Orbis I've had used, when I go into like 8,000 square foot houses in Poway, out in the middle of nowhere, they get fiber out there or they'll get like fast internet, but they pay $300 a month to get like Cox to have like a bunch of different nodes in the house and all this. And I gut all that stuff out, put an Orbi in, and I never hear from them again because they love it.
That's amazing.
So,
Yeah.
So yeah, but definitely the A90J and some more videos and continuing to get other TVs. I'm interested in getting another LED TV and give it another shot, whether it be the X95J or the QN90A again, and maybe get we were talking about maybe getting the C1 83-inch and comparing it against this Sony one too. So lots of
That'd
stuff
be interesting. Yeah.
in the works.
We're all curious about that.
Yeah.
And just a couple more questions and comments real quick. Hey, David, you have a G1. What do you think of the G1 in general? Is it one of the best TVs? It is. Nothing further. If you don't have any issues with screen uniformity, you've got one of the best TVs sold in 2021. And as a gaming TV, it's the best, period. It's great picture quality. No one's going to say that it's a terrible TV. I cannot imagine that you don't have a great TV. So yeah, enjoy your TV for sure. And Duck here with a super chat. Thank you for that, Brian. She loved it.
Awesome. Join me for the after party on my channel. I'll be doing a little live stream for the next hour or so.
Oh, yeah. After party on Brian's channel.
You guys can join me at the beach too. I'm going to go check it out with the in-laws. I'm out.
Nice.
The in-laws on the beach.
It's going to be nice. Good. The whole next week at the beach. They get a beach house, and we just basically live there for a week.
Very cool. Awesome, brother. You deserve the break, man.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining me, my friends. And thank you all for being here. Thank you all for your super chats. And if you haven't caught it, I put up. Oh wait, a bunch of super chats right before they go. I was like, wait, okay, guys, you snuck in just in time. We'll get these, and then we'll rush out. Here we go. Thanks, Michael, for the super chat. What are your thoughts on looking for TV deals now? Because there could be shortages this fall. The only shortage you'll see are the 2020s. So if you're looking for a 2020 TV, namely the Q90T, the LG C10, maybe the Q80T. A90J H8G. We're talking about TVs that did not carry over. The TCL 6 series carried over, so there won't be any shortages. But 2021 TVs, you're pretty safe through Black Friday. It wouldn't be a shortage per se on Black Friday, but rather those prices that are locked in. It's locked in for a certain number of models, right? Number of units. So once they sell out of those units, the prices go back up again. So that would be the shortage. But if you get that price early, you shouldn't have an issue. So yeah, don't worry about 2021 shortages. Don't rush into the deal now. Black Friday, I think, is going to be phenomenal. And here we go. Thanks, Rapid Red, for the super chat. I have an 83-inch A90J, and luckily only paid $6,000. Wow. That's pretty good. Crazy that spending $6,000 on a TV is considered steal. Well, it is a steal because Brian, you have stories. How much did a 85-inch TV cost you?
KS9800 a couple of years ago was $12,000.
And what year was that?
2017.
There you go.
Z90 was $10,000. I mean, you're talking about an 83-inch OLED.
You're stealing this
2 years ago. Criminal.
And remember, OLED. A 77-inch OLED
the only
4
one
years ago.
There's only been the 88-inch ZX that is $30,000. So these 83-inch OLEDs are the first. I mean, a really, really big deal.
I would have thought they would have come in at like 10 grand too, to be honest.
Me too.
I did too. I
thought they were going to be 8K actually. After canceling, they canceled the Master Series last year. I thought it was going to be 8K.
Okay. And if I missed your super chat, I apologize. Thank you for all your super chats. Come back for your question next time. Let me know. And until next time, stop the FOMO, everybody.